So what happened here? Why did this happen? And how can we fix it? Hey there and welcome back, and if you are new here, welcome. My name is Paola of paolaponcenails.com, your source for all things premium soft gels and entrepreneurship in the nail industry. If this sounds like a niche you'd like to continue growing in, then at the end of this video, do consider subscribing to this channel and our weekly newsletter. Let's begin. Well, if you haven't experienced it, you've probably at least seen it, and that is pocket lifting. Pocket lifting is literally a section in the gel nail that you're wearing that has lifted, and that is usually from the nail plate. Sometimes it's benign, like nothing's gonna happen. Sometimes it can keep going and results in a greenie, because now there is a pocket for moisture to get trapped and start producing the right conditions for a greenie, which would be like humid, dark, kind of like a fungus, but it's not a fungus if you see a greenie, okay? So what happened here? Why did this happen? And how can we fix it? First things first, if your client had this and she was not wearing clear, you probably wouldn't have detected until you remove the product. Once you did, you'd probably be a little bit alarmed, like, oh my God, what is going on? What happened to her nails? And you really should not be worried, especially if there's like nothing underneath, like a greenie, for example. So nothing to worry about, but you do need to remove the entire enhancement, or at least down to where you can flush it to the natural nail, right? Like flat, and then reapply the entire product. You cannot file it down thin somewhat and then assume you're going to fill that in. So you do need to reduce it to where the gel is going to be completely flush and that area is going to be removed. Now, let's answer why it happened. Why did the pocket lifting happen? For me, it is very rare. I do not get it often. And I suspect that if you are having pocket lifting, I'll share the reason why mine happened, but it must have to do with your curing unit. When the gel is not fully cured, it's not really attached as well as it could be to the nail. Not only that, it's not fully cured, like it's not at its rigidity, it's full cure. So it's going to just kind of bend and crack and just wear off. It's not cured again to its full potential. So what would happen is, like, the nail will bend right there where you see it get white right here, right? Like you accidentally bent your nail, right, upon impact, or God forbid the other way, but as you can see here is more common. And so that area will lift. I've also experienced pocket lifting when I did that. It was quite painful. So I jammed my finger somewhere, or maybe I bent it, or maybe it went the other way, and it hurt so bad. But because the soft gel adheres very well to your nail, and that's without etching it with too coarse of a file or a primer, it just pulls away from the nail, but it doesn't mean that it's going to pull away from the nail very easy or without a challenge. And so I remember one time that did happen to me, and once I removed the product, because I remember how bad that hurt, I believe it was my thumb, there was a pocket right in the center. Again, I clearly remember the event. I knew the reason why that had happened. But in your case, maybe you didn't have an event of that sort, right? So again, I'm going to suspect, my guess is that your unit is not curing your gel properly, most likely because you're not using the correct unit, or your unit has gone old and the intensity of the light has increased. Those are the two scenarios. Again, number one, you bumped it really hard, right, to the point where it wanted to detach, but because it's adhered to the nail well, it didn't. It just created that pocket there. And then two is if the product is not curing. So neither of those two happened to me, actually. And so you may be thinking like, whoa, okay, so what happened? And if you look very closely, I'm going to try to stay still. I know I move a lot in my videos. I'm so sorry. Okay. If you look very closely, I'm also maybe going to try to take a picture for you so that you can see. There is actually like a little tear right there inside the gel nail on the nail plate. There's a little tear. And so for me, what that tells me is like, oh, okay, so there was a little bit of damage from removal or similar, right? Maybe when I was removing my previous set, I don't know, maybe the nail was coming off. I helped it by pulling it or something. So there's a little bit of damage there. And basically that's a perforation on the nail. So if you take perforated paper, right, you just got to bend it a few times and then it's going to break off, right? Well, that would happen if that tear made it down here to the stress area by the smile line. But because it's up here, something still happened where I incurred some sort of trauma, let's just say impact, and it just created a pocket lifting. I didn't feel it. So this little injury there on the nail plate had to do pretty much all to do with this little pocket lifting. And I kept an eye on it. It's been there for, I want to say at least 2 weeks, and it really has not increased in size. It stayed the same. As you can see, the lifting is not going like this way. It's not really expanding. So that's a good thing. That's really cool. That again, it's not the product. I think that if my gel had not cured properly, I think I would experience more of the lifting. I would expect that. So that's good to know. So now let's go ahead and remove it. I hope you got the 3 reasons why pocket lifting typically happens, at least in my experience, with soft gel. Number one, the number one thing you must achieve to start a long list of loyal clientele that will keep coming back to you over and over again is to make those nails last. Because like I often say, if those nails don't last, neither will your clients. And I don't plan to leave you in the dark about how to master gel nail lifting. I created a full comprehensive online course that teaches you how to apply all of your gel nail services using premium soft gel only. Whether you're a committed DIYer or a seasoned pro wanting to stand out from the crowd by offering something unique, I'll take you virtually by the hand and teach you how to apply all of your gel nail services with the exact same techniques I used in the salon on hundreds of clients. Are you interested? Group class enrollment opens up very soon. Sign up to the waitlist, aka our VIP list down below, and you'll be the first to know, and maybe even get some early bird perks. Back to the video we go. A hard impact, right? A hard impact to the nail. Number 2 is not curing your gels properly, and that's probably going to be the most common if you don't know why. And then thirdly, there's a small tear inside the nail, on the nail, that is causing that gel to just lift from the natural nail, which is my case. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. And again, there's no shortcut to this. You will have to strip the product completely. I like to strip with my, that sounds funny, with my ceramic bit at a medium and then decrease to a fine. And I just like how smooth ceramic feels for me. It just shaves without removing too much all at once. Carbides, for me, in my opinion, remove way too fast. But I do use that, and I do coach my students to use a carbide because they say they last longer. Honestly, to me, they've lasted about the same, but I'm gonna go with, yeah, they might last a little bit longer, maybe a couple weeks more, maybe a month more than your ceramic. So remove the bulk with your carbide or a medium ceramic. And then I always like to switch to a fine or even an extra fine ceramic. So that's last step for me, definitely a ceramic, okay? So yes, the bit that I like to use when I'm down to the nail is a fine or extra fine ceramic. Use whatever shape you like. For me, this is working right now. And in fact, I'm going to be using a more cone-shaped ceramic. If I can find it by the time we get there. So let's start removing with our ceramic at a medium grit. And let's see how we get there. And then you'll see that once I get to the natural nail or very close to it, I'm going to start decreasing the speed and definitely switch over to my ceramic. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I'm not trying to dig this out. I don't want to do that. Soft gel applies better and self-levels nicely, especially if you're doing like a structured overlay or just a self-leveled application when the product is removed and left flat on the nail. It's not like acrylic or hard gel where they have a little bit more viscosity to them, right? Acrylic definitely has more density to it, so it's just gonna fill in and stay there like plump, right? Soft gel is actually gonna wanna go flat very fast. We don't wanna dig it out, we wanna remove the product flat or flush to the nail. All right, now that I've thinned it down significantly with my medium ceramic, I've switched over to a fine ceramic for getting down to the natural nail. Now this is sort of like a little, I don't know, triangular cone shape. It really is a matter of your preference, whatever you like. This will allow you to get a little closer in here around the cuticle and obviously the other side wall, but you use what you feel comfortable with. At this point, my Efile is pretty much down to like 2000 RPM, if that. Basically, if I put pressure, it'll stop. That's the level of speed I want. And I want to very gently remove what's on the natural nail. Very gently, as flat as possible, so I'm not digging to remove this. Resist that temptation to really go in there digging for the lift. You do have to do it with your Efile parallel to the nail. And again, from here, just flush it to the natural nail, feather touch. Remember, when you're applying nails, whether they're acrylic, hard gel, anything, you're not removing layers of the nail. That's never the goal. The goal is to either remove shine or to texturize, leave a little bit of texture with your file so that it adheres better. Now let me bring you in closer, because now you're going to be able to see the culprit even better. Okay, so there it is, and this is the damage. There, you can literally see a layer of my nail peeling, and again, this probably had to do with me maybe getting impatient and scratching off or scraping off the gel in my last service, and this little tidbit is what caused that pocket lifting. My soft gel was like, no way, Jose, lift it. So right there. That's why you want to be gentle with your removals. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlay this entire nail again. Notice how gentle I was with my Efile. It's okay to leave a little bit of gel behind. It just lets you know that, hey, you know what, you're not touching the nail. But if you look at this angle, it's nice and flush, so I would treat this nail as a brand new virgin nail without gel that I'm going to now overlay. That's how you would fix your pocket lifting. Thank you for watching, and if you need a little more direction in your nail career, I want to encourage you to join my free masterclass using the link in the description box below. It is available for you to watch immediately for free right now after signing up.